I think my great grandfather, oldest ancestor I know for sure, born in 1818, believe it or not, in Pennsylvania, Jesse W. Devine would probably say, I recognize this country.
Oh, geez, that's bad. That's bad.
Hey, grandson, like, over 150 years separated our births, but I really recognize this place. It's
Yep,
like Groundhog Day.
I could imagine that that would be the case.
But hey, you know me, I always make it about race.
Isn't it?
According to some people.
Isn't it? That's why all the fight about critical race theory. Everything's not about race. Actually, in America, it is. Hate to tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of is. I mean, we got let it get in there with swim clubs, beaches. Someone's like, you take any word and make it into race. Sand. Yep.
Yep,
Segregated the beaches.
that's right.
Or you got Chicken Bone Beach and the Inkwell. This is all the black folk went. Anyway, look, sorry, we jumped the gun in our victimization.
Wow.
Welcome to the Power Hour. Sitting across from me in his virtual studio is Bishop Dwayne David Royster.
And sitting across from me is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler.
And the glue that holds it all together is none other than the queen herself, Queen Kawesa.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. The weather kind of kept me up last night.
Well, what do you mean by that?
It was. Did you guys get thunderstorms? We had thunderstorms my way, and it was crackling lightning and thunder, and it just. I mean, it was rough. I think it was it started like around 11:30,
Oh,
and
wow.
it kind of kept going for a couple of hours. So my vital sleep time was interrupted by Mother Nature.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that. That
But it's all
that is
good.
disrupting.
Well,
You didn't
she
lose
is the
power,
mother.
did you? Did you lose power?
No, we didn't. I thought that we might, so I set a couple of alarms, to make sure that,
Okay.
I wouldn't have any issues. But yeah, no, we didn't lose power. But I mean, the way that it sounded, I thought that, for sure I'd wake up with no power. But no, I mean, it was fine, but it was just so loud, and it boomed like the whole house. Car alarms were going off. I was like, really? Like, is this what we're
Oh,
doing? So yeah, but I'm here. It's a
gotcha.
beautiful
How was the
day.
ride in?
The ride was good. There were a lot more people on the road, so I'm guessing that people might have taken off yesterday to give themselves like a little bit more, time to recover from the holiday or something like that. But there were quite a few folks on the road driving a little crazy. The ground a little wet, but not really that wet, and it's a little humid. But again, not too bad right now. But I'm sure it'll, later on in the day, it'll be
It'll be
nice and
scorching.
sticky and gross. So,
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks, Kawesa.
of course.
Kawesa, she's like, remember the guy who was the soup Nazi in Seinfeld?
Yes.
He's like, I suffer for my soup. She 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 suffers for you all. You
Absolutely.
know, she suffers for you. She hits the elements and all that. That's all for you. Hey, listen, speaking of suffering for you, Eric Adams is about to get what he wanted.
Yep.
Second
But not
black
by much,
mayor.
though. It's close. It's really close.
So they released the second batch of data. It says here, according to Yahoo News, this is ranked choice voting. Remember, he ran for mayor of New York with a wide field of people. He is leading Catherine Garcia. She's the former chief of the sanitation department. But like you said, only by 8,400 votes. So he's going to win, looks like, by 50.5% to 49.5%. And I got to tell you, this is why I don't like ranked choice voting. The ranked choice voting is a way for cities to keep black folk out of governmental leadership when the cities have tipped the scale and become majority minority cities.
Right.
The phrase people use, I don't necessarily agree with that phrase, but and it's literally. I mean, you look at like a lot of these cities, like, well, how is it that like a black person can never win in that city anymore? It's like, well, ranked choice voting. It is. I don't know what it is. Again, maybe we should get somebody to come on and talk about it. I can only tell you the experience of being a son of Oakland and watching that city go through this a couple of times, and how frustrated my mother was the first time it happened. And I can't remember. I think it was. I'm not even going to call the woman's name because I'm going to call the wrong person. But the former mayor, when she won, everybody's like, "How did that happen?" She wasn't even like the number 2 choice. Ranked choice voting. And I mean, look at this, a razor thin lead. 1% shouldn't even be that close.
There's already 3 lawsuits, right? So Adams has a lawsuit, Garcia's got a lawsuit, and Wiley's got a lawsuit as well. Each of them are suing because they want to be able to see the results of the ranked choice voting, right? So a lot of the things that are being reported are the initial votes. I mean, they've determined the winner by going through the ranked choice, but they want to see what the rest of it looked like as well. So there's going to be a lawsuit about this. And because it's so close, like less than 1, I mean, it's just literally like 1% of the vote. There's a lot of challenges to it.
Well, we know it'll never happen in Philly. That's the good thing about a system that's so rigged as ours.
Wow.
I mean, I kind of hate our system as well, but I don't hate it as much as I hate ranked choice voting. So you Democratic powers that be, whoever you might be listening this morning, don't bring this one.
Well, actually, I was just literally talking to somebody yesterday about, working towards building towards ranked choice voting.
Oh my God. Are you serious? So we're going to be on the opposite side of this one.
With it. I just said, I was talking with them about it, and I'm like,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Yes. I mean, it actually can backfire. Like in Maine, they had this guy who was the senator from the state that was horrendous, one of the senators from the state, who was absolutely horrendous because of ranked choice voting. Because the Dems and the Republicans, and this guy was like a libertarian, like way out in the field libertarian. I'm sorry, it wasn't the senator, it was the governor. He kept winning because of ranked choice voting. It was like, eventually, I'm like, y'all need to stop that.
I mean, look, you already know Philly has enough problems as it is. We don't need that one too.
Right.
Yeah, and so listen, folks, by the way, on social media, do us a big favor, hit the share button on Facebook Live, and if you're on YouTube, post it somewhere else, like in, I don't know, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. Just take the link, copy it, paste it, and drop it in there. And bring others in as well. So glad to see folk who are with us on today. And speaking of my hometown, and we got to talk about Nicole Hannah-Jones' story. This is incredible.
Absolutely.
But let me just tell you, Dorito sales are going to be going through the roof. Yep,
Why
Doritos.
Why?
Because in Oakland, a weed warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
A marijuana warehouse last night and a half ago went up in flames in a 3-alarm fire.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. A 3-alarm fire, or a 2-alarm fire, excuse me, burned down a weed warehouse. And man, that's a lot of smoke. This is like straight out of Cheech and Chong.
So you got a whole section of town that's just going to have a contact high, like an extended contact high?
Yeah, it's Oakland. They were already high to begin with, more than likely.
The firefighters are going to be all jacked up from being out there trying to put the fire out. The police that are cordoning off the area they're not going to pass their test when they have to go get their drug test. They're going to pull up the spot, on the spot drug test. They're all going to fail because they have all inhaled copious amounts of marijuana smoke.
Bro, let me just say, again, I think I mentioned it on here before, but as a motorcycle rider where you're exposed to all the elements, man, please, y'all, keep your contact stuff inside. Keep your windows rolled up because you're trying to get bikers out here like killed.
Man, you just try driving down Broad Street in the middle of the day. And folks got their windows cracked, and you can see the smoke coming out the car, and it's just like all over the place. It's terrible.
Bro, I'm just telling you. So in Oakland, yeah, for what it's worth, I'm sure that the neighborhood was packed that night. and Dorito sales were at an all-time high. No pun intended.
Somebody got the munchies.
Yeah. A lot of people missed work that morning. They're like, hey, the observation was yesterday. Yeah, but man, we had another party. The party kept going. That is crazy. The whole warehouse burned down.
And I'm so sorry that, the warehouse burned down. Certainly that's not a good look for the community. However, I'm not sure, at least for the next, 12 hours, folk were feeling really good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, man, did a building burn down last night? I seem to remember something. Hey, glad to see everybody this morning. Good to see Twanda, Judge McCabe, Dora Ladine, Kenesha. Rob is in the house. Raphael is with us. Tracy, Bernita, Sandra, Wanda. Glad to see Gary as well as Ed, Franny. And happy anniversary to Leslie. Today is our 20th.
20th?
A dub.
You go for it, man. You a bad thing.
You got 20 in.
Happy anniversary, First Lady.
Yep. And it's really crazy when you think about it, because July, 2 months after 2 months after we were married, 9/11 happened.
Oh wow!
It just like shook everything. And now here we are on the other end of 20 years and coming out of a global pandemic. The two biggest single events. Some might say Trump is the biggest event, but these two huge events that have kind of anchored these 20 years and everything in between. So so shout out to Leslie, and
happy anniversary to you both.
Thank you, man. And speaking of other big events, so Nicole Hannah Jones.
Yo, that's the move.
Wow. First of all, I didn't realize that she was an alumnus of University of North Carolina.
Yeah. Where she got a master's degree. Yeah.
Where she was seeking tenure, and but she finally got the tenure that we all helped fight for to get. I mean, on this show and others, we, kind of like raised the rallying cry for UNC to do the right thing. UNC then extended it to her. You remember the debate was about her writing introducing the 1619 Project and, critical race theory. And as you repeatedly said, one of the donors on the board being upset about it. And all of that happens. She gets the offer and she says, nah, I'm good. Like Harry Tubman, I'm out. I'm about to go join Felicia Rashad at Howard.
Mm-hmm. I am actually really, so what's kind of cool about this, and we both talk about the fact that we each have a kid that's going to be at Howard. Yours is already there. Mine's coming in September. And so she's going to be there. Felicia Rashad's going to be there. Tanisha Coates is there as well, teaching. And it was funny. I went to my wife and I'm like, okay, so when Joy gets her schedule, we need to figure out which of these classes that she can get into with these folk. But, honestly, we're really at this moment in where I'm hoping that really top scholars, the dynamic junior scholars that are coming out are now going to look at HBCUs in a very different way. And, really, instead of going to the Harvard or Yale, can you go to the Howard? Can you go to the Morehouse, the Spelman? Can you go to the Hampton? Can you go to Houston Tilson? All these other schools that, are worthy of, investment in young Black minds. I think it's a really powerful piece, and I'm hoping that, folk will take advantage of things like that.
Well, I mean, listen, first of all, shout out to Howard. And let's be clear, you could never tell them anything anyway. And I mean, don't forget all just the incredible, list of persons who have graduated from Howard, including the late, the Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, Debbie Allen, on and on and on and on. I mean, they have one of the most impressive, lists of graduates that runs right up there with any Ivy League institution, talking about people who come out and transform the world. And so if it was hard enough for Howard, alum and current students to get their head through a door, it's even going to be worse today. Because, I mean, the first black woman vice president, the first woman vice president, the first, you know what I mean, first Pacific Islander. Kamala Harris is also a graduate, and so it's just like Howard is just like they're like the New England Patriots, just collecting hardware. It's like, we need who else can? I mean, it's like stop it, share the wealth, Howard. The other HBCUs that can use some attention. We get it. Howard is dope. We get it. Stop rubbing it in our face, okay? It's like it's starting to get to be hard to be happy for you. I don't want to be that guy, but y'all gonna make me that guy. But in all seriousness, I just think it is absolutely wonderful that she is doing this. And you know, you also have athletes who are doing this now. I forget the young guy's name who went and decided not to play at one of the big schools that wanted him, but he also played at Howard last year. It was the COVID season, so it was like kind of hard to kind of follow what really happened. But again, people taking the talents. And in fact, let's do a break. When we come back, I want to connect that to the earlier story we talked about this week about NCAA players being able to get paid, and how that may also reshape the landscape that right now big schools like Alabama and Ohio State take for granted. This is the Power Hour. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Enterprise Exterminators, located at 4943 Wayne Avenue, has been in business since 1976 and can eliminate whatever pest problems you have. Enterprise specializes in bed bugs, lanternflies, and termites. Call for your free termite inspection today. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Enterprise Exterminators, servicing Philadelphia, Delaware, and New Jersey. Call now, 215-849-7070. Ask us about the WURD and senior discounts.
Are you hungry today? Have your taste buds been sufficiently pampered? Call Eatable Delight for succulent and juicy turkey wings, no-filler crab cakes, or tender smoky beef ribs. You can pick up, curbside, or get delivery in Philadelphia, Montgomery, South Jersey, Delaware, and Bucks County. Call 215-236-3900 or stop by 1540 Wadsworth Avenue. That's 215-236-3900 because even your taste buds deserve pampering.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. And we have plenty of them to share with you. Just wrapping up on continuing a conversation about Nicole Hannah-Jones denying UNC after a 9-4 vote of the Board of Trustees to finally grant her tenure. And now she has decided that she is going to be the original Knight Foundation chair for race and journalism at the Howard University in Washington, D.C. And folk are very excited about her going there and being received by her own. So, pretty pumped about that.
Well, so in the chat, I'm looking. So, again, we're on Facebook Live as well. So if you're there, you have thoughts, please post and share them. We'd love to hear from you. And so Robert says, I saw a piece about competitive salaries being a thing. Finally, for HBCUs, they're getting closer to pay equity. Tawanda adds on, I've heard Howard doesn't pay well. So, I mean, all right. This is
an endowed chair, though, so this is a little different.
Yeah, but even so, I mean, listen, what's a great salary in even the best HBCU is probably like a mediocre salary at your run-of-the-mill Harvard or Princeton or University of Pennsylvania, right? And so, like all of us, people who are professors full-time in the academy, are also thinking about their future, about their families, and about being able to provide. And you're always hard-pressed to tell somebody, no, take the lower-paying job to benefit the community, right? I mean, that sounds great for everybody until it's you. You know what I mean? And it really does. And so, because when you're in one of those other schools, you're going to have a higher profile. It's just like an athlete who's going to go play at one of these schools. And so there's a lot of soul searching that has to happen. And we know historically, that these places can pay better because, well, heck, when you're started off with, I don't know, a head start called slavery and all the residual benefits that go along with it, and these other schools were started by in large part 100 to 200 years later out of the basement of churches and in people's homes, there is going to be no comparison. And so, I mean, that's the real nuts and bolts about like why you can't get a Cornell West to, he's fighting between Harvard and Princeton. It's like, well, bro, why don't you go to Morehouse? Why don't you go to Spelman? Why don't you go? Yeah, well, I love the brothers too, but they can't pay.
Well, here's the thing. So all of the HBCUs in this country have a collective endowment of $2 billion. There are 55 primarily white institutions in this country that have endowments in excess of $2 billion. So you take every HBCU in this country, right? It's Lincoln, it's Cheney, it's Howard, it's Morgan, it's Bowie, it's, you can go down the list of all the HBCUs that exist in the country. Collectively, their endowment is $2 billion. That's not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money.
Most don't even have an endowment, by the way.
Right. Which a lot of times are accreditation in jeopardy.
Yeah.
So, but there are 55, let me say this again, 55 primarily white institutions in this country that have endowments in excess of $2 billion just for themselves. And some of them are not big schools. So, I mean, when you think about that, I mean, that's part of the challenge with the finances as well, right? There's the alumni don't give back the same way that, a lot of the white alumni do. To support the schools as they move forward. And so, some challenges, but, again, I'm grateful she's going to Howard, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, but again, it's, so as you think about this, right, all of this is connected to almost everything that we talk about. So historically, if black folk have had the lowest paying jobs have been, and with the help of the government, relegated out of certain industries until recent history, and all of these other kind of things that have basically advantaged one community to the disadvantage of another. Even things like we talk about today, home equity, right? Remember the story where the woman got her house appraised and then, it was way lower than she expected, black woman. So she had her white friend come in and act like it was his home, and it shot up by $100,000. I mean, this is, yes, it's all tied together. And so if we're going to raise, the level of where HBCUs are, then all these other things have to happen as well. But look, I mean, I'm glad she's there. And hopefully this will not only add to the profile of Howard, but also add to the ability of the development office to go out and receive major donations and major gifts that will also encourage the alumni to do likewise. And meanwhile, I wanted to talk about the NCAA piece and perhaps come back to this CRT, critical race theory portion real quick. But Master P, did you see his son is in the NCAA right now?
No, I didn't know that.
Y'all remember Master P, right?
I know, the rapper, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, well, this is one of those big cultural stories, right? So Master P's son, I mean, like the day that that the NCAA said that young people can actually make money right now, his son, Hersey Miller, he's going to Tennessee State, another HBCU, and he's going to play at Tennessee State. And so this young man walks in with a $2 million endorsement deal.
From his dad.
Right, from Web Apps America.
Okay.
So, I mean, so will we now see students who would have probably wanted to go to an HBCU to begin with, but again, you're not going to get the exposure, no guarantee you'll get money. You can actually make your money in college. I mean, if Hersey is starting out with a $2 million deal, then this is only going to go higher and higher. You're going to start seeing, I mean, who would not have paid LeBron $100 million in college? He got a $100 million Nike deal before he ever set foot on the floor for the Cavaliers. I don't know if you remember that.
Right.
I mean, like literally, he signed his contract, got drafted, and before he dribbled a ball, he got $100 million at 18 years old or whatever. So it's not unlikely to think that these students will begin to make a mass exodus out of larger white institutions that have now gotten comfortable thinking that these black students have nowhere else to go because they can make their money wherever they want, and now have 40 some odd HBCUs to choose from and may be able to flip the script. I'm just saying that a lot is happening this spring and summer that will probably have some very far-reaching, lasting consequences in ways that right now we don't fully appreciate.
No, I mean, that's actually a really interesting concept. I hadn't thought about the fact that they're able to get their own sponsorships now in that way. And yeah, that could be a very powerful piece and put HBCUs in a whole nother light when the primarily white institutions don't have the cream of the crop of players anymore because they're going to, HBCUs and they're playing there. I mean, what would it mean for TV contracts? I mean, how many HBCUs are, seen on ESPN or seen on, the basketball shows on the weekend and things of that nature? But, you see a Boston College, you'll see a Notre Dame, you'll see, these big schools that are out there that have these TV contracts. Well, now what will happen with HBCUs? Will they get those TV contracts now when the best players in America are going to HBCUs?
Now we're talking. Now we're talking because I hadn't even thought about that part, but you're right. And you get those contracts, guess what? I can start paying more Hannah Nicole Joneses. Mm-hmm. I can now compete salary-wise and expand all of our other programs and offerings. Oh, by the way, we can actually offer a lot of scholarships to black students. Right? Because those TV. And can I just simply say that going to, if the Fab Five back in the day, C-Webb and, Juwan Howard and Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, and all of them, if they had played at like any HBCU, first of all, from a TV perspective, the game is going to be way better to produce than at Michigan.
Right.
Have you ever been to an HBCU basketball game?
No.
So this is so funny. I found a videotape online on YouTube. Somebody posted from the 80s from Clark Atlanta University when we played either Morehouse or Morris Brown, which was both of those were like huge games for us. I mean, they usually ended in fights because it was so passionate, right? But bro, we had our Panther mascot was out there dancing. I mean, brother was getting down. In fact, one year with my frat brother, we had a band in there. In this video, my line brother was the DJ, a DJ at an HBCU game. Like we needed encouragement. It was a party. Do you understand?
Right.
I mean, I don't know how the players didn't just start breaking down dancing during the game. It was so live. And so if you bring the best talent in the country into that setting, from a TV perspective alone, the way everyone in this world loves and loves everything about black culture, it is set up in ways that it could literally revive a lot of these colleges. So Nicole Hannah Jones's move is so important because it then signals as well to faculty members that you too should begin to make this exodus and let's start changing the landscape and investing in our own. I'm here for it all. I'm here for it all.
I'm like, let's roll out and, let's fill up the HBCUs with top talent and, change that whole dynamic, both academically. I mean, we can do it sports wise. We get that money coming in. I would love to see Grambling get the recognition that it so richly deserves on the national stage. It's produced more football players than most schools in the country have ever even had, that have gone to the NFL. Well, how about them getting the big dollars for being able to play on Saturday games? How about the CIAA get some deep recognition for, the talent that it's producing on a regular basis and get those big TV cable contracts, get the licensing contracts for their school teams and everything? I think it would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, and look, a lot of these students, athletes especially, they started going to white schools because, like I said again, money. Yeah, I mean, who can knock them? I mean, I'm not going to tell you, to do the thing that's altruistic at the expense of your family and folk who are an entire family is counting on you to go out and help bring them out of, like generational poverty, right? And so it's like, no, that would be wrong for any of us, though we understand the impact of it. And so now people can basically, quote unquote, come home. And so I just think that this begins to change the landscape. And if anything about the Trump years have taught us, it's that regardless of Obama being elected twice, pretty easily too, considering everything,
right,
that we have not arrived at a post-racial America.
By no means.
And that our institutions are still as critical, if not more so today, than they have ever been. And we've got to find a way to invest in them and pour into them. And, again, I'm here for it all.
Awesome. I agree with you. I agree with you 110%. I think it's a new day, new opportunity. And we got to take in, especially in this highly racialized moment that we're in right now.
Right.
I think one of the challenges of desegregation is that it desegregated our power. It's great that people were able to move and live and go wherever they wanted to, but it desegregated our ability to have power and to have some form of unity. And what happened is we began to break down via social strata to look like the white community. And it diffused our ability to be able to continue to move collective political power, collective economic power, collective educational power. And I think this is an exciting move that's coming upon us not by virtue of being forced into it, but people are choosing it because they recognize it's the better way to go. HBCUs produce more black doctors, more black lawyers, more black folk with PhDs. That have come through as an undergrad in an HBCU. And I think a large part of that is the supportive environment and community that students are able to feel, be able to achieve and be able to feel supported in, that allows them to imagine going on when they see black doctors, they see black lawyers, they see black professors, they see black folk that are thriving in their fields. They're able to have that experience and be able to imagine what the possibilities are and to be encouraged to reach for it. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, well, I do have a word of advice for Dr. Jones, Dr. Nicole Hannah Jones, because looking at her bio, she's come through Notre Dame and North Carolina, and she was born in Waterloo, Iowa. Very unlikely place for the creator of the 1619 Project. Although maybe not, because maybe being from Waterloo is what made her kind of like go look for her people and her story.
Right.
Like,
absolutely.
There must be more, right? Drove her to the library. But I just want to tell you, Doc, now when you get to HBCU, HR and everything else, and I've worked for one. So I've not only attended two, but I've also worked for one. So I speak that which I know, Just be patient, okay? Don't come in UNC and Notre Dame expectations on the administrative side, because we got some catching up to do. It's all good. A lot of the stuff is good, but I'm just saying I want to level set expectations for you, because they're gonna, even for a high ranking person such as yourself, you're gonna be like, "This is my office? Wait a minute. Where's the?" Oh yeah, Doc. No. You got to get that on your own. Like, where's the? Yeah. We know. You wrote the 1619 Project. We also have Claire Huxtable here. We know. Go ask Claire. She also had to set up her own space.
I'm like, did they even have an office for her? Because the school had existed for a while. So I'm like, wow.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. It's funny, but it's true. So again, congratulations to Howard. We're coming up on a break, and when we come back on the other side, bro. So this is her hiring at Howard, her departure at Howard is so important at this moment, where people are not only pushing back on critical race theory, not only has it become the litmus test on what a conservative is, but now they are recalling boards of education.
Wow.
Boards of education being recalled based on their support or rejection of critical race theory. Yikes. It is, I guess I did, you know what? I mean, what? I don't even want to ask the question. I was going to say what's next, but honestly, I don't want to know. Look, it's the Power Hour 640, and we're being. Kuwaisa must be so proud of us right now, not blowing through any breaks. We'll be right back on the other side for our final segment for this morning. Don't go anywhere. Hit the share button. Come on, bring others in, and post your comments in the chat about Nicole Hannah-Jones going to HU. We'll be right back.
The Sweet Treat Hut is the highest rated juice bar in Philly, located on the corner of 50th and Thompson Streets, providing delicious, healthy vegan food, juices, and smoothies. Treat yourself to a cup of happiness. Call 215-877-1471.
Tropical Smoothie Cafe Philly, the #1 smoothie cafe in Philadelphia, serving their guests a variety of smoothies and delicious food products such as wraps, flatbreads, sandwiches, and salads. Tropical Smoothie is located at 1600 North Broad Street, Unit 4. Eat better, feel better. Online ordering is available, and you can find us on all third-party delivery services. This ad is brought to you by the North Broad Renaissance and Truist Foundation.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Delays increasing. This traffic report sponsored by Indeed.com. Look for some backups now on westbound Schuylkill Expressway. Coming off the Walt Whitman Bridge up to Passyunk. There is construction down to one lane between Broad and Passyunk. Eastbound side starting to bunch up now from 476 to Conshohocken. Heavy delays are starting to clear out now on 422. An accident just cleared eastbound between Arm & Hammer Boulevard and Sanatoga. There is construction through that area on the westbound side between Limerick and Sanatoga, blocking the right lane. Shift hiring gears with Indeed. They go beyond the resume with 135 skills tests that help candidates show their abilities on things like computer proficiency or customer service. Indeed skills tests reduce hiring time by 27% on average. Visit Indeed.com/credit. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. I'm Jenny Robinson with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Get ready for another hot and steamy day. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures soar. 96 this afternoon. Will feel like 102. A scattered shower thunderstorm possible this evening. And then a steamy day on Thursday. Not as hot, up to 90 degrees. With rounds of showers and thunderstorms possible tomorrow afternoon. Then heavy rain due in Thursday night and early on Friday as Tropical Storm Elsa passes just to our south and east. Not as hot Friday afternoon, but still very humid, a high of 86 degrees. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster and Mark Kelly Tyler. We just got some sad news to report to you that the Haitian president of Haiti, which is a country right off of the border of Florida, President Jovenel Moïse, was assassinated after a group of people attacked his private residence. The country's interim prime minister said in a statement. This is being reported by the AP. And deep tragedy for that country, which has struggled so deeply after numerous national tragedies and incidents from hurricanes and earthquakes and others. And so our prayers and thoughts are with our Haitian siblings today and right now in the midst of all of this. Wow.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to see if I can get the bishop, the AME bishop, Bishop Anthony Byfield, who represents that district. If we can get her on real quick. Are they reporting anything else? Because I saw the first story that I saw when I put in there, and this is like really sad, was about rising violence that has been that 18,000 people have been displaced, apparently due to gang violence there in Haiti.
That's what it's saying here, too. Comes deepening political and economic stability and a spike in gang violence in the country. I mean, COVID hit, for a country that's poor and struggling, COVID really devastated, nations like that, like Haiti. And this is deeply, deeply sad. Wow.
Oh, wow. Well, if we can't get her on this morning, because I know it's just breaking, and she is probably talking to some of the pastors and members in Haiti right now, trying to get a sense of what's going on. I mean, this story broke like 5 or 6 minutes ago.
Yep.
And I'm certain by tomorrow, but this is definitely something we need to explore. I mean, it's a world leader,
right.
even though it's a small country, and the fact that a president, I mean, presidents have been assassinated throughout the world before. Typically, they're out traveling or they're among people. But I think my initial reaction to this, the fact that they went to the president's house of Haiti and just kind of the state, I mean, look, just 6 months ago, yesterday was the 6-month anniversary of the insurrection at our own capital.
Yep.
And, where people went into, quote unquote, the people's house with a noose outside, and some of them had evil intent, not just trying to overturn an election, but trying to like kill elected officials, that it just feels like we're in, you talk about this all the time about democracy being in jeopardy, but it feels like this time where they're like, quote unquote, strong men trying to just really displace the rule of law if it goes against what they want. And here we have what appears to be, at least in this moment, the latest like real life instance of that in his house.
In his house. I'm like, where was the security? Just curious. So, wow.
I'm like really speechless right now. In his home. That if a president of a country is not safe in his home, in the Western Hemisphere,
right?
What does that really say?
Yeah. What a loss.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that really just puts like everything else we were talking about just in a whole different perspective. And if you have, what's our number here? Love to hear from folks. If you have insight into this right now, maybe there's some folk who are from Haiti who are listening. You got Haitian roots, maybe your parents. Love to have you give us a call right now on the guest line. Kawais, you have the number pulled up in front of you? I know I should know it by heart, but yeah, we certainly would love to hear from you this morning if you are out there. Philadelphia, by the way, has a very large Haitian population, and there is a Haitian business owners community. I know that I've worked with them in the past before, and so we know that there are people who are in our immediate area in Philadelphia who are going to be deeply impacted by this story as well. The person I was going to reach out to is on West Coast time right now, so I'm certain that this morning may be too soon for her to give us a call. But again, if you want to give us a call at 215-634-8065, again, 215-634-8065. Some of you are watching the news and you can see what Bishop and I don't have the ability to see, trying to actually talk and do the show at the same time. But again, a president in his home, the president of Haiti, President Mosé, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name properly. It's interesting. I was literally talking to, so Leslie and I told you we were on an anniversary trip over the weekend. And so we're out of the country, and I was on a shuttle with a mother and daughter, and the mom was from Haiti, and the daughter is American born. They live in New York now, I think. And the mom, I was just mentioning, oh yeah, we have a lot of AME churches in Haiti. And, I've always wanted to go and just haven't had a chance to go. And the first thing out of her mouth was, be careful.
Wow.
She said, no, it's not really safe right now. Be careful. Now, people say that all the time and you don't really kind of think about it. But I did not understand fully until thinking about it now what she was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That was on Saturday, bro.
Wow. Wow. Well, I mean, people have known about the struggle over there for quite some time. I forgot what the name of the earthquake was that ravaged Haiti, and then there was the hurricane that hit over there that was just devastating the country. So economically, and it struggled as a country. Haiti has struggled for a very long time, a very long time. It's been a home of despots and dictators, and they finally got to a place of instituting democracy. But of course, then this happens, and I'm sure there'll be more news coming out about that over the next couple of days, and we'll find out who's responsible. And, what the plan is. Is this, an attempted takeover or what? We don't know yet, but we do want to find out what is happening on the ground over in Haiti at this moment and see, what could happen. I would hate that, somebody would just dismiss this as gun violence. I'm sorry, you just don't get in the president's house, as a result of gang violence, right? There's something more to this, and so we need to find out what that is.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's like you may not know a lot, even like young people who are out there. But the one thing you're going to always know is where the president's house is. And Sheila says on Facebook, in light of this assassination in the president's own home, the storming of the U.S. Capitol takes on a whole new meaning. Yeah. I mean, I think it just absolutely does, right? I mean, and so, I mean, it really, a moment like this underscores just how tenuous democracy always is to begin with. Absolutely. Because a big part of it is the social contract. I mean, that's what keeps, I mean, what is it that makes you stop at a stop sign in the middle of the night when nobody else is around and sit there, or a red light? There is a contract that we all have with each other that says that for the most part, we're going to behave in a certain kind of way and give up some things because we want some things. And one of the things we want is stability. But, Sheila, you're right. January 6th, I think what shook people to the core is like, damn, people could really do that? People are really willing to do that in 2021, not 1861? And now here you are in Haiti. And listen, so you got to watch these small places because they become bellwethers for other places.
That's right. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
And that no matter, I don't care how small you could be Bermuda, which is I think even smaller than Haiti, but when the top election official is not safe in his or her own home, folks, that is something to pay deep attention to. President Biden, Vice President Harris, beef up your security.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, during the Obama administration, how many times did people break into the White House?
Yeah. I
always found that a little strange. They got
I was watching a whole lot of folk around President Obama. Rochelle Bilal, sheriff, says the contract I was speaking to has been broken.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, let's see, we've got Charlotte out of Philly. Okay. Charlotte, come on. She's got a comment.
Every time I think about Haiti or every time I hear something about Haiti, I get upset. This is off the top of my head. I think in 1910, but I'm not sure, the Marines went into Haiti and took 100 million gold coins from Haiti. And now they're sitting in Citibank, and Citibank in the United States won't give it back. Haiti had to pay money to France when they fought for their independence. For, I believe, over 100 years, they had to pay money to France. The United States government has propped up horrible dictators in Haiti. When Haiti had an earthquake, the world sent $1 billion, and they didn't see a dime. The money had to go through the Clinton Foundation, and the Haitians did not see a dime. And I don't know if you remember when Hillary Clinton was running for president, the Haitians came out and said they didn't want her to be president, and they gave you reasons why. And then that monster, Donald Trump, said he would do whatever he could for the Haitians, and then he backstabbed them. It was
yeah. So, Charlotte, wow. So much that you laid on the table that is worth exploring. And you're right. I mean, look, America has never given Haiti any love. ever since it rose up and threw off its French oppressors. And let's just start there, and the fact that they had to actually pay those guys. So, but we're sorry I had to fade you out, but we're right at the end of the show. I'm certain that Solomon will be talking about this morning and all of the other shows as well as more information pours in. But for right now, our prayers are with Haiti. And don't forget, when you look at Haiti, some of those are your relatives. I guarantee if you do the DNA testing, because we came on the same ships, some were taught English, some were taught French, some were taught Spanish, some were taught Portuguese, but we all came over in the same Middle Passage. And so we are tied together, whether we know it or not. So we're praying for you all, and we're going to try to explore this deeper on tomorrow.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for being here with us today, and we appreciate you checking out the Power Hour. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. And we'll be updating this story, as I'm sure other hosts here on WURD will be following it during the course of the day. Please stay tuned now for Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. And family, do us a favor, especially in light of this particular moment. Go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.